The one thing I learned from Drake, and here's the crazy thing. One thing I learned from Drake, but one thing he hasn't followed his own words. Drake said, I want to be one of the people that gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I have ever since said,
you really
thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I see y'all when I drop. Don't worry about it. I'll just drop something. Let me know if you heard it. Drake is like, no, listen. Okay, I got another one. Hold, check this out. Check this out. Y'all didn't like that one? Okay, real quick. Just one more. Let me try one more. And then he's the person that he said, he didn't want to be. And I learned that from him. Like when he said that, I want to gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I was like, you know what? I'm out this bitch.
This is live shows now.
I'm out this motherfucker. I'm not trying to impress y'all niggas. Y'all niggas don't give a fuck if I live or die. Why the fuck would I keep trying to impress y'all niggas? I'm out. I'm done. I did everything that I was trying to do. I changed the game. I made a sound. What else? What else?
You literally can't. It's only, even if you make a hit today, it's still,
it won't even. That's just normal.
Yes.
It's just normal. It's like, that's okay.
Well, shit.
Cool
We're gonna get to all.
As you could tell from the clip, T-Pain was speaking on. Well, he always presents the truth to me, and this is no different. So many people say that at the end of the Kendrick and Drake beef, Drake should have just took a break because he's been very active. He barely takes breaks off. He's always on the feature. He's always releasing new music, whether it be every year or every 2 years. And he's just been in the media a lot and just been doing a lot as far as music-wise, just appearances. And it's kind of exposed himself to this kind of scrutiny and this kind of criticism. And even Drake said he was going to take a break, but he never did. He released a new tour. He did the new album with Party Next Door. He started releasing new singles, and he was on a couple features. So he never really sat down. And I think T-Pain was addressing that. Now, I know a lot of people say that T-Pain has a personal beef. Maybe he does. But even in, the hate or even in the bitterness, there's truth inside of that. Because we know that Drake has hurt his image a lot over the last year because that beef with Kendrick started last, May. And it's been pretty much bad ever since. I mean, it started off decent because it took Kendrick a while to respond. But when he responded, it exposed a lot of things about Drake's character, a lot of things that we probably wouldn't notice as the average fan. But when we start looking back on things, we're like, wow, this guy, every beef this guy has is because of some woman, that he allegedly, was messing around with behind the artist's back or something like that. And we started to notice those trends. We would have never noticed that if the beef would have never occurred, or probably not until some doc came out after he retired. But T-Pain addressed Drake saying he wants to bow away gracefully away from the game. Now, a lot of, being a Drake fan, especially before this beef, on Western Road Flows, if you remember that song from the Views album, he said that he's the most successful rapper 35 and under. That's when I plan to retire. It's already funded. Now, when that beef with Kendrick started, he was 37 years old. So according to his estimation, he was supposed to have been retired 2 years previously anyway. So he kind of put these problems on himself. Even if he retired from the game, which a lot of people didn't want him to retire, retiring musically doesn't mean you're just all the way done with music. You can still do features. You can still release projects every now and then. There's no such thing as officially as retire from music because it's not like the NFL where you have to go in the Hall of Fame and you can't come back. You can always release music. But taking a hiatus sometimes helps. And sometimes you outstay your welcome when you are so active like that, especially with these appearances and things. And it kind of gave me, looking back at other artists who took these hiatuses and looked at them differently. Because I used to think, man, they really don't care about the game. They don't, they got their money and left. But sometimes you need that hiatus. When you look at the biggest artists, you look at an Eminem, you look at a Kendrick Lamar, you look at a Jay-Z, they're not in the media like that. They make their appearances when they have an album or some kind of project releasing and they get out the way for a couple of years after the promotion. Drake, on the other hand, you're going to see him active on Twitter. You're going to see him on TV shows. He's going to be on streams with Aiden Ross. He's going to be on these different projects, collaborative projects with people. He just doesn't take the time to sit down And when people say he's musically declining, he could be doing, what his predecessor has done. They've made all this music and kind of burned themselves out. So sometimes you run out of words, or sometimes your voice becomes stale. And they talk about this in sports when you need new coaches. Sometimes the coach's voice becomes stale and people don't listen to the message anymore. And that's what it has become of Drake, because Drake made a name off of being, bitter about exes and being bitter about love lost and things like that. And it was cool at the beginning, but now his fan base is starting to get married. They're in relationships now, and they don't have that same bitterness or attractiveness to the bitterness that he has still had since he, you know, was introduced to us around, his early 20s. But he's in his late 30s now, and people say, man, you got to have a different message. You should be married by now. You should be settled down. But he's still giving us that same message. And I understand portraying a character or portraying a personality, but at some point your music has evolved, and I felt like his music never evolved. So I think that's what T-Pain was getting to. You have to evolve, and the game continues without you. When Michael Jordan, when Tom Brady, when Peyton Manning, when Kobe, all these great athletes retired, the game still continued without them. The game didn't just wait for them. I know when Jordan retired, the game, the viewership and stuff went down, but it picked right back up. You had other artists, or you had other athletes come in the game and boost up the game. But at the same time, you have to be able to be gone for people to miss you. And Drake never did that. And Drake, to some degree, has become the Kendrick, the Kevin Hart of music, because he's taking every little opportunity to get out in the spotlight. So no matter what artist comes out, he's going to be on the song. No matter what, appearance he can make, he's taking every dollar he can, which is understandable, because we know that one day people won't be checking for Drake, similar to Kevin Hart taking every movie he can get, every TV show he can get. It's a downfall to that. You're too visible, you're too susceptible to criticism, things like that. And Rihanna had that formula to not burn herself out, because we probably never get another album from her. She got into the cosmetics and beauty lines and things like that, and she got her music and got out the way. And she's a billionaire now. She did the Super Bowl, but other than that, we probably won't get another album. But people have to know when to get out of the game. And Rihanna was on top of the game when she left. And if she drops another album, the anticipation alone will probably make her multi-platinum, just off the anticipation alone, whether it's a good project or not. And that's what Drake has to understand, is that sometimes, that hiatus is important for your artist to, for your artistry to grow. And you can't grow if you're constantly working on that artistry. Sometimes you have to get away from the game, get a business, start, on a team or something, kind of get away from what you're trying to get to. And I think T-Pain was speaking that from experience, because T-Pain was just, he was on fire for about half a decade, and then he had this precipitous drop from the hiatus that he had. And I think his hiatus didn't hurt his performance. I think what hurt his performance was just his sound became so mimicked, and people just emulated it so much that he lost his spunk from his sound that he created, so to speak. And when the Future came out, and then Jay-Z released that Death of Auto-Tune, people started looking at the music differently. So I think that what happened to his music, and what reason why he took the hiatus. His hiatus didn't affect his performance or his sales or anything like that. I think it was just everybody saturated the market with auto-tune, and that's what happened to him. And it kind of died down now, but some artists work solely off that auto-tune. And yeah, just to put a close on this thing, I think they both faced major bumps in the road. So they both had to learn lessons. And I don't know if Drake has learned it yet, because he's still pretty active, but hopefully he'll adhere to the message and not taking it just personally, but just take some time for himself, just for his health and for his well-being, because it was very difficult beef that he had to deal with, and with the scrutiny and all the accusations people were opposing against him. So sometimes it's best to just take a break, decompress, and just think things through. But as always, thanks for choosing the Urban Scope podcast. Until next time, I'll see you next time.